She's the girl boss Dani, making that validate. She's the girl boss Dani, making that validate. She's the girl boss Dani, making that validate. She's the girl boss Dani, making that validate.
So I'm here with Dani Lalonders. Suddenly Dani decided to be on the show, and I'm so grateful for it. Dani, how are you doing?
I am doing amazing. It's Wednesday, which means it's almost Friday, which means it's almost a freaking weekend.
But do you ever sleep, Dani Lalonders? You are heading up the development of a game called ValiDate. You were on Kickstarter. You did great. Now you got to actually make the game, though. And it's a romantic comedy game with a lot of people of color, a lot of pushing boundaries in terms of what people think video games are in terms of being pro-social versus anti-social. It's no small feat, Dani Lalonders.
It's not. I'm glad that this first volume is out because now I can like chillax. I feel like a lot of times when you're making games, you just don't chillax. But now that I'm on vacation, I'm chillaxing.
That's amazing. And when did the first volume come out?
It dropped on September 29th of this year, and it went well. Everyone loves ValiDate, which is great because I'm just like, oh god, I worked in this game for 3 years. Y'all better love it.
That's incredible. Yeah, I've been following news about it for a while. It's the kind of game that strikes my eye right away because when I see a game like ValiDate that is so much about emotions and connecting with other people, it makes me wonder immediately about the person that made it and feel really hopeful that it's the kind of game that has a real heart to it where I can get to know the people who made it through their work. But now I'm getting to know you through talking to you, which is just as good, if not better. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Growing up, I'm assuming you liked some video games, but that is a huge assumption. Was that, are you relatively new to video games or have you enjoyed them for a
Hell
little while?
nah. Oh my god. Wait, do I have it? Wait, hold on. It is right here. Wait.
You're rolling around, Dani Lalonders.
Okay, so I've been playing video games forever, but I had a viral tweet about The Sims.
Oh yeah?
Like 2 months ago about like how I bought The Sims 4 for like $60, and I found it the other day. I bought this, I think in 2014.
Wow.
And I was still in high school when this game came out. So I was using my allowance because I didn't have a fucking job at the time to buy The Sims 4. And this is the deluxe edition too. I think the CD is still in here. It is. But yeah, I've been gaming ever since I was like a baby. Like ever since I could start using like a Nokia phone, I started playing those like match 3 shitty Nokia games. And then as soon as I got old enough to like actually hold things, I got a DS. I got a Game Boy Advance. Wait, whatever the pink one is. What is the pink one?
There's a lot of pink ones. I got a pink DS downstairs actually, but I'm pretty sure there's a pink Game Boy Advance as well.
Yes, it was the Game Boy. Yes.
Yeah.
So I got that. And I loved it so much. And I just kept getting Nintendo products because I feel like back in the day, everyone kind of just had Nintendo products growing up. My first game on the DS was Lizzie McGuire on the Go.
Lizzie McGuire on the Go?
Yes. Oh my god. It was such a fun game. Oh my god. And back then I was like pussy. Like, I mean, I guess I still am. But like I used to like be afraid of some games because like when I was 4, my cousin showed me The Ring. I think it's The Ring's where the girl comes out the TV.
Oh yeah. The well on the TV, and then she comes out of the TV on top of coming out of a well. She's coming out of stuff nonstop. Oh no, you froze.
Yes. They showed me that movie, and it scared me so bad that I like everything that was like even remotely scary. I'm just like, no. And I'm still like that. I won't play a horror game. I just won't do it. I won't even watch a horror movie. If it's like even like remotely scary, I'm like, y'all turn that shit off. Which is funny because I watched all of The Boys. I don't know if you've seen The Boys.
Oh sure, I've seen The Boys. Yeah,
gory as shit. It's Homelander, one scary dude. But horror, no. So when I was younger and I used to play these games, I would have my cousins beat some games that I was just too like paranoid to play. And I just kept getting more game consoles. So I had a Game Boy Advance, I had a DS, I had a 3DS. No, sorry, I had a DS Lite, I had a 3DS, I had a Wii, an Xbox 360. What does I have? I got a PS4, I still have that. And I got a Switch.
Yeah.
I'm missing one. And also my PC.
Mhm.
But I've just always been playing games. This has kind of just been my home thing. And when I started ValiDate, like my inspiration for ValiDate is because when I just felt like it wasn't fair that I couldn't see people like myself in games. And this is like how I felt, especially in like 2017, 2018, the Overwatch era. Let's not even get into that because I can talk for hours about how much I resent that game, despite me playing Overwatch 2. But it's fine. It's fine. And like I was also super into like the X-Men at the time. And X-Men is like super duper diverse. Like they got all these different kind of mutants. So it felt like unfair to me that I couldn't really see myself like a Black woman in games. And I was just like, okay, well, and that was like when I was still like in college, like I was still figuring out what I wanted to do. Fast forward a year later, and I made like a small like fan game with my friends. And then I was like, I can just do more. And then I did more, and then ValiDate came to be in the Kickstarter, and now 3 years later, the game's out, and a lot of people are like feeling the same way that I felt when I first saw my first game with representation. And I'm just glad I'm able to give people that feeling because I made ValiDate for the people. I want people to feel represented in games. I want them to feel seen in games. I feel like a lot of times in games, it's just like, you know, your white dude with his hot wife. Your white dude and his hot wife and his abs and stealing ancient artifacts and you know, or fighting zombies. What do white dudes do? I don't know any games. But
you know a lot of games.
I do know a lot of games.
I was watching an interview with you and Justin Woodward when you revealed that Ace Attorney was a big influence on you.
Oh my God. I love Phoenix Wright.
Yeah, he's a beautiful man, and he's a lot of people think he's a bisexual icon. He is.
Oh my God! Don't even get me started on the bisexual men in games. I have a whole list.
I would love to get you started on that list. That's the exact kind of thing I like to talk about. But I do want to make sure we get enough time to just focus on you. So the Ace Attorney bisexual, I'm not going to even call it theory. I'm going to call it a new fact that we've created, though it's never explicitly stated in the games. Those games have been very attractive to people who are all about connections, relationships, acceptance of diversity, though the cast of the games aren't explicitly diverse in terms of how they're visually represented. It's a lot of Japanese and, you know, US looking characters, some European looking characters. Yet I think that I'm just throwing this out there, see what you think of it. The fact that those games are so focused on relationships and real people and like digging into trauma a lot of the time and facing true sociopaths, like some of the most evil characters I've ever seen in a video game, way more evil than anything like Resident Evil or whatnot, like Dahlia Hawthorne, who's just like
one crazy bitch, but I love her.
I know, but she's so real, right? Like that feeling attracts a really diverse audience and speaks to me of the fact that there is a big gap that you're filling by actually feeding that diverse audience actual diverse characters in their game. But I'm really curious about if you had any trepidation about taking that leap, because when no one else has succeeded doing it yet, from a business perspective, I'm gotta guess it's a little bit more scary to be one of the first to do it.
It is. Oh my God. And it sucked so bad. It sucks so bad having to do it. I'm constantly, oh my God, I tweet so much on main and I delete most of my tweets because I don't like complaining about my job on main because I can't. The thing is that okay.
Yeah.
I talk shit. I'm a hater. I'm not gonna pretend that I'm not. But like it's just like when I hate, I have to be very careful because I'm a Black woman in games and I can't get away with hating like some other people in this industry can. Not naming names.
Because you can't hate or else they're gonna come for you. Yeah,
they're gonna come for me. They're gonna be like, oh, you're so ungrateful, blah blah blah. And then like people don't like understand like where I'm coming from. And then like also whenever people are like, oh, you're a hater, you're also like, you're a fucking like you're the N-word, you're these racial slurs, you're a woman, so shut up. Like I literally had someone tell me yesterday, oh, you're a woman and this is why women should not be allowed to speak. I'm like, whoa, let's calm that down.
Yeah.
But
wow.
I just really struggled to get Validate out there, especially like on a business standpoint. It was just really hard because as a visual novel, it's already hard for us. Like people don't really take us serious, especially since a lot of the Western visual novels are mostly joke games, which is fine. I think people are allowed to make their parody games. This is not me hating on that. I'm actually going to hate on other games besides Detroit Becomes Human, but it's just like
we've had Detroit Becomes Human and David Cage in general haters on the show many times, so you're in good company.
Thank you. Fuck that man, God, get sued. Anyways, but it's just like really hard because like you have like your Dream Daddies as like a parody that's dating simulator. You have KFC when you're dating the Colonel Sanders.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Yep.
You have Hooked by You, which is like a parody of the Dead by Daylight. You get to date the evil people in that game. Never played it. Again, horror. I don't play it.
Yep.
So when you have all those games and then you have a game like Validate that's like, yes, it's a pun in the title, but it's a more serious game. It's kind of just hard to really sell that to people who want to give people money, because they're just like, well, if you're not making something that's explicitly parody, we can't really support it. I'm just like, I mean, I guess. And then also it didn't help that like, we have I wouldn't even call it a Tumblr art style because I don't believe what we have is a Tumblr art style. It's just an art style. But we have a more colorful palette. Like we have a very Steven Universe color palette. So when people see those bright lights, they see all these people of color in different sizes, different ethnicities, different skin colors. It's just a harder sell. And I constantly talk about like being the first of my kind and just being the first to make a game like Validate. And one thing I really just like have to remind myself, especially when I feel like killing myself over it. Oh my God.
You're so real. You are so real. Please continue.
Okay, yeah. Whenever I feel like killing myself over Validate, it's just like I have to remind myself that the work I'm doing is really important because I have to succeed for other people who are making a game like Validate's or a game that is like so Black, so queer, so like queer friendly, so people of color friendly. Because like if I'm winning, everyone else wins. A lot of young developers come to me and they say that like they never thought that getting in this industry would be like possible for themselves because it's just really hard to get in this industry if you don't know anyone, if you don't have connections, if you're not in game dev school, which a lot of people are not, because you know game dev courses are really only available in certain places, not even all over the 50 states. Not every college has a game dev course. My undergrad didn't. I think they did after I graduated, which is pretty funny, but whatever. And it's just like, I want to inspire people. I want people to see the work that I'm doing and just being like, I can do that. And it's not that scary. It's not that bad. I know I talk about how much I want to kill myself as a Black woman in games constantly, but like, I'm a Virgo. I be exaggerating. Like it don't be that serious, but I make it that serious because I need everyone to know it is that serious. Because the treatment I get is crazy.
Yeah, well, I don't even know where to start. Such a wonderful statements you made, so clearly showing us who you are, and I'm so grateful for it. When you start off on the internet, like you're mostly on the internet, right? So you're already dealing with a lot of people not seeing you as a real person. People treat the internet like a visual novel where they get to do all the worst dialogue choice options to whoever they want with no negative repercussions. So people are just being awful to each other left and right. I said I liked a Star Wars movie on Twitter the other day, and somebody said like, why are you so incorrect always? And I was
already knew where it was going.
Yeah. And that was like they were in their mind just being polite. Like people they treat each other like garbage on the internet, and everybody is considered in the out group of the mind of somebody who's just on the internet to cause trouble. And then on top of that, you're in the games industry where all of the biggest icons are either white guys, Japanese guys for the most part. I mean, I'm painting with a broad brush. There's exceptions, of course, but most people who are looking at AAA, that's who they think of as game developers. Cliff Bleszinski and Ken Levine. I'm dating myself with some of these, Hideo Kojima and so on. So you're already going to be treated like you're not in the in-group. You're not going to be shared the same level of empathy as someone who kind of shallowly just goes with what they know and assumes that people who are like who they think they are like are worthy of respect. And then you go and make a game that challenges all of the ideas about who games should be about. And that's really, I can only imagine how threatened small-minded, mean-spirited, elitists, racists, anyone who's going to put up those kinds of barriers treat you. So, and then you had to like make a fun game in the like, and let's make a fun game in the midst of all that. So I again, you've done a wonderful job explaining how you were motivated to do it because you really wanted to innovate and do for others what others had not done for you. You would have loved to have ValiDate growing up, but you didn't. You had Ace Attorney and you made do with it. It's got its charms, but ValiDate does more in terms of representation than Ace Attorney has ever done. But out of all the things, you could have like, there's so many other ways you could have chosen to take these risks, but you chose games. Why do you think that is? You're so social. You've got such social skills. You could have just gone out and been a public speaker or an actress, perhaps. So many things you could have done, but you chose like this sort of, someone say, antisocial craft of sitting in front of the computer and writing and programming the game. What do you think that's about? Why did you make those choices?
Why did I make games? I don't know. I ask myself this every fucking day. Every day I wake up and I'm just like, why games? Why not like books? I don't know.
Yeah.
Games. I just guess because games has always been a part of my life. And ever since I was young, ever since YouTube, I actually did always want to work in games in some capacity. I didn't know what, but I did want to be a gamer. Like at first I was like, oh, I could be a Twitch streamer because like when Twitch first started popping off in like 2012, it like was very doable. It was very easy to like just get into that. All you had to do was have not OBS. What do you have at the time? Fraps.
Oh yeah. Fraps.
And like other stuff. Like, and then also being a YouTuber, also very easy to just do. All you have to do is like have something in Vegas, and then like back in the day where you can pirate everything. I mean, I guess you can still do that, but it was easier back then. So it was just like a very like easy thing to do. And then I just realized that I didn't want to like really directly be in the limelight because I don't know. When I was like one day in like 2013, I was going through YouTube comments and I was just like, why are y'all so mean? And I was like, I don't think someone could say this to me. And then and I would be okay with it. Like I think if someone said this to me, I would like want to like literally jump off a bridge. Yeah. And then fast forward 8 years later, 2020, people were saying the same exact things to me. And I was an adult and I was looking at it like, what the fuck is your problem? Mind you, this was after George Floyd. They were still saying this crazy ass shit to me after George Floyd. And honestly, you can ask any Black person this. I feel like the internet definitely got worse after that happened.
After George Floyd?
I know. Yes. Oh my God. It got so much worse because racism started getting exposed. Like people like, whoa, racism is bad. But like there was also it like when people started realizing racism is bad, the people who were just like racism is whatever started pushing back on it, and now they're pushing back on it more than ever, and now we have a really bad fascism problem. So like it came from somewhere.
Yeah, that's a oof.
But it's just like when people were making those comments to me, I'm just like, what the fuck? Why? But it never really got to me because I was just like, so we see like the race, like the lasting implications of racism and police brutality in real life, and y'all are still saying this racist ass shit to me.
The George Floyd stuff, I saw specifically people so badly wanting to continue to believe that racism was right that it was almost like a call to arms to them to defend themselves and their own. The dissonance of being able to see so many people, Black Lives Matter, coming out to really put their money where their mouth is and risk physical harm to them from the police. They couldn't believe that narratives because it was so counter to what they thought was true, which is that minorities are the threat and they're the innocent ones, that they had to warp in their minds that Black Lives Matter were the dangerous ones. And there's still people to this day that I talk to who are allowing themselves, in my own family, who are allowing themselves to be convinced of that. And I'm looking at them like, are you really saying this to me right now? So things are not easy for people of color right now, to say the least.
And then fucking Elon. Oh!
You froze.
No, I'm glad my internet went out because I just said something so crazy about Elon Musk.
So I so desperately want to know what you were going to say about Elon Musk. But the thing about you, Dani, is I've gotten to know you, and I feel like I know you so well, at least better than I did yesterday. And it's been such a pleasure to talk to you, is that you have high energy, but also high empathy sensitivity. You don't want to say anything bad. You don't want to be a hater. And you are also filled with energy and feeling. So you got to hate sometimes. I hate on David Cage all the time. I hate on Uncharted. I hate on a lot of stuff. It's gotten me in trouble, but I hate because I love Dani and I love the people who are underrepresented and I want them to get their time in the sun. And when they're blocked out by the David Cages of the world, it bothers me. So that's my take on you, Dani Lalonders, that you were so high sensitivity that you couldn't play horror, but you were so high sensitivity that you could fall in love with fictional video game characters and then make a video game about falling in love too.
Yeah. That's like, yeah. I don't know. I'm a lover. I'm a lover. I hate a lot, but I do love. I do. Are one of my things gone? No, it's not. Sorry. ADHD, she got hands. Anyways, you basically said that like there's no like impending doom in ValiDate, and I did that for a reason. I know that like I wanted this to be very realistic about how dating is in real life, and like in real life dating, there should not be impending doom. I would hope not, unless you're dating like a mafia boss or something like that. But like, if you're just dating like a random person you saw on a dating app, like you should be fine. The worst thing that like the impending doom you should be feeling is anxiety about like how this person is going to perceive you, if it's going to go well, if you're going to sleep with this person, X, Y, Z. I wanted to really have it be so realistic that like it's just a reflection of what it's like to date. Like in the beginning of the game, Malik meets Yolanda at her poetry slam, and he really does everything in his power to try to spin a move on her and try to sleep with her. And she was just like, I'm not gonna sleep with you. I don't know you. Like, who are you? You're a stranger to me. And I think that's like very real. Like that's a very real situation a lot of women have just been through, especially in Yolanda's shoes. And then like in other situations to ValiDate where you meet a girl at a grocery store in Issa Ashley route, and you're just like, oh, she's really cool, and then she ends up being straight. That's just like real life too.
So Dani, you thought about doing Twitch, you thought about doing YouTube. Instead, you put yourself like literally in your game so we can all get to know you that way without you being put on stage in the same way that you would if you were going to be live streaming and dealing with all the negative comments. But now the game, hopefully, is not getting any negative comments. One of the brilliant things about ValiDate that I'm sure there's a double-edged sword to it. You described how it's hard to convince people who only think visual novels are for jokes when they're actually just about really connecting with emotions, which if you're a highly sensitive to emotions person, visual novels are often your favorite genre. But you made a game that if you don't like people of color, if you don't like queer people, you're not going to play ValiDate, thank God. So you're going to hopefully not end up being a hater of a lovely game. Hopefully you're only drawing in the right people for your game. So I guess what I'm trying to get to. But the right people for your game really is anyone who loves love and is interested in people, because that's what your game's all about.
Yeah. If you're interested in just like love stories in general, and you just care about like just realistic stories about people, not even just people color, just people in general, ValiDate is your kind of game. I know it's a lot of reading. My bad. It's a visual novel. The novel part is right there, guys. It's if I could afford voice acting, so you wouldn't have to read a damn thing, I would. But that game is, the first volume alone is 150k words, so I'm already losing. But yeah, if you just love and you just love people and you just love realistic stories, ValiDate is your kind of game.
So well put, Dani. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. Oh my goodness, I can't believe that I found you via Twitter like I found everyone else.
couldn't be happier about it.
She made ValiDate for the people. She wants people to be seen in games. Diversity for you and me. That's Dani. She made ValiDate for the people. She wants people to be seen in games. Diversity for you and me. That's Dani.